happens is when you go deep into yourself, and you can do this through the sessions, through the work that I do, or even yourself, all you're doing is quieting your, what people call the monkey mind, or what Dolores called Mr. Stupid. I loved how she called it that. You quiet that part, and there's this whole world within you. So the way I conduct my sessions is I'm basically helping a person quiet that part. And then I'm speaking directly to their higher self. Now, the way I know the difference between a person's higher self, the way it speaks, the way it sounds, and their conscious mind, but my client doesn't always know the difference. And it can be really tricky because somewhere around 2012-ish, there was a shift in consciousness, believe it or not, where my clients in 2009 were different than my clients in 2012. The human brain has actually been evolving, and anybody that does the work that I do has noticed this in our sessions. But when I started this job in 2009, my clients would be very unconscious. And when Dolores was doing her work, she noticed this as well, and they wouldn't remember their sessions. But somewhere around 2012, it was the weirdest thing. All of a sudden, I started to notice that the higher self and the conscious mind were merging. So we are becoming more like our higher selves. So you can be in very deep states, but feel more awake and aware. But
was that anywhere around December the 21st, 2012?
You know, it possibly could have been. I don't know, but I did notice it.
That's the Mayan calendar, the shift in the Mayan calendar.
Something happened, and it's impossible to disregard it. Something did happen, and our brains are evolving. My clients are definitely different. But this is exciting because if you wanted to speak to other versions of yourself, and I completely agree with what Anthony said about the higher self, that is how it appears. It doesn't fully incarnate, it seems, into the body. And it actually almost like has a different personality in a sense, but you go inwards to reach your higher self. But sometimes the higher self gets really upset and feels upset. Sometimes when a person's remembering their past lives and they died and the higher self was trying to warn them and was telling them, oh, you're so stupid, don't go there. That they didn't warn them enough, or you know, your higher self really wants you to listen to it. And one thing the higher self has said is that a lot of times, and the higher beings get really frustrated because they said, we've been watching humans and we're really annoyed because nobody's figured out what they're doing here. And what we're doing here is to find out about ourselves, to be our individual self, or to listen to ourselves. That's the most important person to listen to. And the higher self says everyone wants to be like one another. They want to like watch this TikTok and then do everything that person's doing, but you didn't come here to do that. You came here to be this individual person. And they say the best thing that we could do that will change everything, will change even consciousness, is to become a spiritual master of ourselves. Now what they said is if you become a spiritual master and you master yourself spiritually, it leaves an imprint in the consciousness. So that's what other really spiritual leaders have done. And when you leave this imprint on the consciousness, any other being can tap into it, like Jesus or Buddha. And they said, you came here to do that. And these other higher level consciousness, or what you would consider extraterrestrials that have evolved to the point where they are completely enlightened, I've asked them, what did you guys do to become completely enlightened? You know what they say? They say, as over the millennia, as a collective, they came to fully believe that they were source. They say, that's what you guys are doing, that you are source. Your power, everybody's power is immense. And you put all these roadblocks, you make yourself sick, you do all these things to yourself. But when you die and you go back to the in-between, you're like, oh man, I was source. I'm gonna try this again. I'm gonna get it this time. But you come here and you try to remember, then you go back and then you try it again. But over the millennia, these higher level beings that have fully enlightened themselves, that's what they did. They now believe it. They not only believe it, they are They know they are source, and that's what we're doing here. So I don't know if I answered your question, but I threw in a lot of other things.